Hey True Believers, Englentine here. This is a video repost from something I did on I Love Comics about 2-3 years ago. Anyway, I wanted to do this because it shows the loss of two things. One, it shows the loss of one of our favorite characters, Superman, and how Bendis has been writing him. And I understand, I've taken some shots at Bendis, so I wanted to repost this and show you kind of why I feel that way. And two, this appeals to a patriot. Whether you're on the left or the right, this appeals to a patriot, somebody who loves this country. And there's a lot of media now, no matter what it is, comics, TV, that really goes against the patriotic feeling that some of us have towards this country. It's the greatest country in the world. And so I figured, what the hell, let's show it anyway. As I mentioned in the video, it is a panel to panel. Like I will actually go, or I think it's page to page, where I go over everything. And the problem is it's an old microphone, so the sound isn't as crisp and clean. Anyway, if you like this, I'll repost the other one. Please let me know in the comments below, and let's get this party started. I'm going to be reviewing Superman 27 on a page to page, and this is a little different because usually I save those for bad books, but I did Clue. No, you know, it got some views. But the thing is I wonder about this one. See, there is a certain demographic that is not really represented in media right now. And I don't just mean the news on that. I mean like TV, movies. And this book hits the notes that would appeal to them, and that is the patriotic crowd. The people who love this country. Usually we're told about all the problems and not about the good things. And the cool thing about this is, even though it really is selling a patriotic vibe, it does not shy away from the fact that we have problems. Also, in some of the cases, the problems it points out would never make it on the air, especially in the news, because it points out, well, basically it points out the problems on both sides. But it doesn't dwell on that. What it dwells on, what this book is about, is American history. And I gotta say, I was very pleasantly surprised. And I'm so pleasantly surprised, I'm gonna call out by name Eduardo. Thank you very much for telling me read this right away and get this out as soon as possible, because that's exactly what I did. As soon as I was done with the America number 5 video, which is out already, so check that out, I picked this book up, or, you know, put it on the computer because I'm all digital right now. And I read it and was just blown away. So I hope you guys get the same enjoyment out of it that I did. Needless to say, there's spoilers ahead. So what you could do is watch this video without the sound, pausing it, read it if you don't already have it, or go buy it and read it and then come back and watch. Or, like I said, watch this twice, which of course helps me out, so I don't mind that at all. But either way, yes, spoilers ahead. So the book opens very simply, but it also opens in a way that I've really appreciated the Superman books for, and that is showing the family aspect of it. In this case, it's just Superman. He's actually flying and being tired, which you've never seen before. Now, I've read comics for a long time. I've read DC comic books. I've never seen Superman tired, but he does sleep, so I guess it happens. But this I thought was funny. Have you ever seen a bird drop dead out of the sky? Apparently, Superman falls asleep flying and ends up crashing into the farm. Once again, never saw it before, but it kind of tickled the funny bone. I like this particular scene. And it is these touches that have been making the Superman books very good these days, because it really does focus on the family. I mean, here's an exhausted Clark Kent coming into his house after work for all intents and purposes, finding his family who tried to wait up for him asleep, so he carries them both up to bed. He can just toss them over his shoulder. That's the difference between him and the average man. But Clark's woken up the next morning by John to tell him the great news that Lois went out and rented an RV to travel around the country. She wants to do the rolling vacation. And just a side note, I know I'm just blowing this book's ego, but the way they treat John in the Superman books also is done very well. Too many times comic books treat kids as little adults. See Moon Girl as an example. I mean, he has the excitement that any kid would have when he sees something like this, a house on wheels, and he's saying all the same stuff. You know, oh my gosh, we can do this, and we can do that, and we can do this. And you know as a parent that he's excited now, but once you're on the road, he's going to get bored about 10 minutes in. I mean, you know, that's just the way it's going to happen. Honestly, I can't think of anything that Marvel has that can compare to the Superman titles right now. Even Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows really focus on the superheroics rather than the family aesthetic, and I think it loses out for it. Although when it does focus on family, I think that book is good. It just, you know, it could be so much better, and this is an example. So they all pile into the camper there, the RV, and they're ready to go. They're talking about, hey, did you pick 3 places you wanted to go, 3 historical places? They say yes. The last place they're going to go to is Gettysburg. And as you can see, even at the bottom, I was right. He's bored with all the gadgets that the camper has. But he does make one suggestion and asks, can we make one stop before we continue with the trip? Since John likes water slides, he requests to go down Niagara Falls with his dad. They get boogie boards and everything. I mean, come on, that's classic stupidity. It's one of those things that you really, it's once you see it, you're like, yeah, okay, I get it now. So on the next day, they arrive at Sharon, Massachusetts. We're at my first choice, Clark. Follow the signs for Rock Ridge Cemetery. Here she is, Deborah Sampson. Deborah was 5'9" and signed up with the Light Infantry Company of the 4th Massachusetts Regiment. She helped provide flank coverage along with reconnaissance duties. In one battle, she was wounded in both legs, and before a doctor could see her, she took off rather than someone discover she wasn't a man. She pulled out one of the musket balls with a penknife and sewing needle. The other was too deep, so she left it there and went on to fight another day. Deborah was wounded again a year later, but this time, a doctor found out her identity. Instead of being reprimanded, she was given an honorable discharge in 1783, but she kept on fighting, this time for her pay and her pension, which the Army held back because she was a woman. She petitioned Congress twice and finally won the $1,536 the country owed her. How come we've never heard about Deborah Sampson in history class, Dad? That's a good question, John. You should ask your history teacher this fall about it. And instead of making movies glorifying mobsters, drug kingpins, and serial killers, they should be making ones about real people like her. Now, I've got to say something here. I remember when my kids went to school, it was rare that they were taught history at all. And I found out that was actually going on in a lot of schools. History's been cut back a lot. So Jonathan looks out the front window and sees a coexist sticker and says, hey Mom, what's that bumper sticker mean? The C is the crescent moon signifying Islam, the O is peace sign paired with the male-female symbiology, the S denotes science, and the X is the Star of David. The I is Wiccan, the S is a Chinese yin-yang icon, and the T is made of the Christian cross. So spelled out, what do you think that means, John? To coexist, though everybody believes in something different? Exactly. Religious freedom is in the Bill of Rights, part of the First Amendment. It's part of something Americans fought and died for. Maybe we shouldn't be so hard on your history teacher after all. Yeah, the book gets a little preachy right here. However, it's not wrong. You know, but the thing I don't like is that movies and TV shows still shows Christians as the intolerant ones when we see every day that it isn't them that are saying that there's only one religion, and unfortunately, because people don't want to be seen as racist, which is stupid because a religion is not a race, the intolerance that's being shown towards people now will never change. What made you pick this statue to represent World War I, John? It was the only one that made war seem scary, Mom. Like they're running out of hell. The TV show I saw about World War I with all the gas masks and trenches, it always looked lonely and blasted apart, kinda like the surface of the moon when we fought the Eradicator. What's all that painting letters doing on the statue? That's graffiti. When it's done on public property, it's about someone with a spray can who's looking for attention and can't find it. And it looks like they stayed up there to do that by hanging on the bayonet and almost breaking it. People who do that, John, have no respect for the past and the great men and women who came before us. And in one of the comic book's only action scenes, we see Clark speed to fix the statue. Nice job, Dad. Thanks, kiddo. Next stop, the city of brotherly love. And Independence Hall in Philadelphia. And Independence Hall in Philadelphia. The building was finished in 1753 and it became the main assembly place of the Second Continental Congress from 1775 to 1783 and was the site of the Constitutional Convention in the summer of 1787. Yeah, the place where politicians did the easy work and none of the fighting. Nothing easy about debating and ratifying the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. They weren't written by marble statues. These were real guys, flesh and blood, brave men who had a lot to lose. The politicians back then were putting their lives on the line for their beliefs. Like Jefferson said in the Declaration, they were pledging their sacred honor, and honor's a word that means a lot to a person who lives, who believes and lives by it, John. Once they signed those documents, they were committing treason, and the British hanged treasonous men. And this is another reason why I like this book, because all you're hearing about the forefathers these days is that they owned slaves. And that's it. That's all that anybody has ever done before the millennials were born. All we did, we owned slaves. That's it. That's all America has done. That's all you hear. The forefathers were great men. That does not make them perfect men. That does not mean that they did not fall subject to the times, or to any sin that any man is subject to. Cut to the nighttime, the Kents are looking for something to eat. John's reading off a whole bunch of menu options, and the Kents stop to talk to what looks like a homeless guy in a wheelchair. And then they call to John, hey, we're going to have a guest for dinner. So they go into a local diner, Clark stating that it should be good because it'll serve a whole bunch of different kinds of food. Lois asks if they have a table, and the waitress says that they reserve the right not to serve the veteran because it might upset the other customers. And this is where I really wish I could high-five Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason for this entire scene that comes up, because I swear to gosh, I believe truly that Marvel would play it differently, because when what I'm going to assume is the SJW waitress says, we see him on the street all the time around here, this isn't a shelter, and the veteran says, I'm out of here, your boy doesn't need to hear this. Clark Kent says, yes he does. She says, you're causing a scene, and I know I'm basically reading this book to you, and I say, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Actually, you are, ma'am. Your walls are filled with movie and TV stars who have done nothing of real value for you. And you have no problem tossing out a man who served his country and came back without his legs? Pardon me for saying, but this Marine's picture, along with other Philly vets, should be covering this wall. And of course she lets him stay. And this is a breath of fresh air from what we get at Marvel, from us watching videos of Antifa attacking veterans. I mean, it's really nice to see this kind of thing, and it feels nice just to have a sense of patriotism somewhere where you can look and go, well, there you go, because of all the negativity we're hearing. And I know this is the 4th of July book. This is the Independence Day book, so obviously it's very America-centric. But even if you're from another country, you could just think, I know Paris had trouble with Antifa. England's got that thing going on as well. So, to have somebody say that about your country has got to feel good these days, considering all the negativity we're hearing about anything. Anyway, the rest of the book is pretty standard. The homeless vet gets a job from one of the customers. They go out to their campsite. Jonathan falls asleep. Clark and Lois enjoy a drink on top of the camper from what it looks like, and then after that Superman gets a call from the Justice League Tower, and we're promised they're going to visit the tomb of the unknown soldier. extra points if it has the unknown soldier in it. Look, I'm not stupid. I understand that this is one big fat piece of American cheese, but sometimes American cheese tastes good, and to me this time is one of those times. I mean, the art was good. The story was not really there. I mean, this is really just a whole bunch of segments that just wanted to talk about American history, and it looks like that's what this particular series within a series is going to be, and I'm on board for it. I say, why not? I just got done doing a 30-minute video about America Chavez, and there's not a lot of love for anything but America Chavez in that one. So if you want to show me a little bit of storybook history, and by that I mean it barely scratches the surface, okay, sure, why not? Let's check it out for a bit. And maybe if you have a young kid, you show it to them to get them interested in picking up a real book about one of these places so they can actually learn about it. When I was in grade school, that's how I did it, and it worked for me. So those are my 2 cents on the subject. What about you? Do you think that we should be playing the fife and drum for this issue? Or should we be acting like the redcoats and think about hanging it for treasonous reasons? Or are you actually from another country? What do you think when you read something like Superman and it is so America-centric? I'd love to hear about that also. Put all those things in the comments below. And if you haven't already, click like, click share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything else. And more importantly, thank you very much for watching.